Let's not kid ourselves. We all know Mark Zuckerberg didn't wake up one morning thinking, you know what the world needs? A better place for Aunt Susan to post cookie photos. No. This man built Meta not out of kindness, but control, influence, reach, power. And hey, I'm not judging. I'm just saying, if you're still thinking Facebook is just where your dad gets into fights about gas prices, you're missing the entire point. Here's the uncomfortable truth. Mark Zuckerberg is playing chess on a 4D board, while most of us are still arguing over the rules of checkers. Now let's twist the knife a little. While you're busy triple-checking your resume font or watching yet another How to Manifest a Better Life reel, Zuck is hiring armies of Filipino coders, designers, and AI wizards for pennies on the dollar. Yep. He's not just investing in VR headsets and apps you never open. He's investing in entire ecosystems of talent, in places where people are hungry, not entitled. Reality check. Western labor? Overpaid, overcaffeinated, and underperforming by 2 p.m. Filipino labor? Fluent in English, tech-savvy, and online at 3 a.m. like it's a team sport. You think your 9 to 5 is tough? These folks are clocking in at 3 a.m., juggling 3 screens, and fixing bugs you created, for a fraction of your salary. And they're doing it better. Still feeling comfy? Here's the plot twist that should slap you awake. Over 130 assets, from crypto to currency pairs, are being monitored, traded, and managed by offshore talent 24/7. Yields up to 92%. While you're rage posting about inflation, someone in Manila just made more in a night shift than your passive income guru made all year. And it gets better. These aren't just freelancers in hoodies. The Philippines has entire tech hubs, yes hubs, teaching coding, digital marketing, and AI faster than your alma mater updates its syllabus. It's like Silicon Valley, but without the avocado toast and entitlement. Now here's the curiosity loop that should keep you up tonight. If the world's biggest platforms are betting on Filipino talent, why aren't you? No, seriously. Why are you still hiring your cousin's friend's nephew with a Canva addiction instead of someone who's already leveled up 5 times on Upwork, built an app, and speaks better English than your team's Slack channel? You ever wonder why the happiest people you know are also the most fake? Because they know the truth and they're terrified to admit it. The game has changed. And they're losing. Mark Zuckerberg isn't just investing in platforms. He's investing in people who give a damn. People who wake up hungry. People who don't think quiet quitting is cute. People who'd rather code until sunrise than complain on Twitter. So, here's your wake-up call. No snooze button. Meta isn't coming for your job. It already took it, outsourced it, and gave it to someone who's better, faster, and 60% cheaper. But hey, keep watching those 10-second motivational reels. Zuck's already monetized that, too. Let's clear the air. No, Elon Musk isn't part of Meta. He doesn't sit in Zoom meetings with Zuck brainstorming how to mine your attention span. But that doesn't mean you're not part of their shared experiment. Because here's the punchline no one wants to admit. Whether it's Elon launching rockets or Zuck launching VR universes, you're the beta test. Let's break it down. We love to compare billionaires like they're tech Pokemon. Elon's the visionary. Zuck's the robot. Cool. And while we debate which genius is more socially awkward, they're both busy buying the future, while we're stuck renewing free trials on productivity apps. You think the battle is between Twitter and Threads? Wrong battlefield. This isn't about apps, it's about infrastructure. Behavioral real estate. They're not fighting for clicks. They're fighting to own how you live, think, and escape. You ever wonder why 2 of the richest men alive are obsessed with fake worlds and other planets? Yeah. Sit with that. While you're just hoping your next job has better snacks in the break room, they're asking, what if we didn't need break rooms, or the planet? Elon wants Mars. Zuck wants the metaverse. You just want your boss to stop replying per my last email. And here's the twist you didn't see coming. You're not falling behind. You're being out-evolved. They're not building for the world that exists. They're building for the one where your degree, your resume, your routine don't matter. Because in their version of the future, attention is currency. Reality is flexible. And your comfort zone is a liability. Zuckerberg's not just coding VR. He's rewriting how you feel human connection. Musk isn't just sending rockets to space. He's preparing for when this whole place stops being habitable, mentally, physically, or morally. You laugh at billionaires for being weird. They laugh back, because while you're debating hustle culture and Wi-Fi speeds, they're engineering the escape hatch. So no, Elon doesn't work at Meta. But they're both working on the same thing, a future where you're not in charge of your own mind. Now the only question is, do you still think you're playing the game? Or are you just the tutorial level? Let's get something straight. Filipino tech talent isn't rising. They've already risen. You just didn't notice because you were too busy tweaking your LinkedIn headline to visionary problem solver. We need to talk. Because while you're over here romanticizing burnout like it's some noble rite of passage, Filipino programmers, designers, and AI engineers are out here silently eating your lunch, with a smile, a solid portfolio, and zero interest in your office ping-pong table. You think the market rewards passion? No. It rewards precision. discipline, delivery. And guess what? That's exactly what these folks bring, without the drama, the ego, or the $7 oat milk tantrum at 10 a.m. Here's your fast food fact with a fine dining punch. The Philippines ranked top 6 globally in freelance earnings. Not per capita, overall. You know how wild that is? A nation with unreliable internet in some provinces is still outperforming entire first-world economies in digital labor. You ever wonder why entry-level jobs now require 3 years of experience and someone who works Sundays without asking? It's because your competition doesn't take weekends, or sick days, or mental health months. They're too busy leveling up, learning Python at midnight, and hitting deadlines like it's a national sport. Now, before you get defensive and mumble something about work-life balance, let me ask you this. Balance for what? To scroll through reels about productivity while avoiding the actual work? To have a nervous breakdown over a Slack notification? Meanwhile, a Filipino dev with 2 kids and a power outage still delivered a cleaner app than your $80,000 a year junior hire who ghosted after one feedback session. We're not overworked, we're underwhelming. And the industry's figured it out. That's why remote hiring isn't just an option anymore, it's a business strategy. And Filipinos? They're the MVPs. They show up early. They ask smart questions. They don't bring their baggage into the Zoom room, because they've got bigger problems than your passive-aggressive, as previously mentioned email. Filipino tech workers are the noise-canceling headphones to your excuses. They block out the nonsense and get it done. And the punchline? They don't need a seat at the table. They're building the next table, remotely, on time, and under budget. So before you rant about jobs being outsourced, ask yourself, were you outperformed, or just out-hustled? Because the world isn't shrinking. It's waking up. And talent? It doesn't care about your zip code, just your output. Let's be real. Western companies didn't wake up with a sudden moral awakening and say, wow, Filipino workers are amazing, we should empower them. No. They crunched numbers. And the math said, this workforce is cheaper, smarter, and actually shows up. It's not about global diversity. It's about global efficiency. You ever notice how the same execs that won't approve your $200 training course are now sending entire projects overseas, where the team does the job faster and says thank you after every email? Yeah. That's not outsourcing. That's replacement disguised as scaling. And here's the jab that should hurt a little. Filipinos aren't winning just because they cost less. They're winning because they complain less. They don't bring therapy speak into status meetings or ghost their team over boundaries. They log in. They deliver. They leave. Western talent? We want unlimited PTO, a 4-day workweek, and emotional validation in our Slack messages. Meanwhile, a Filipino designer's juggling 2 contracts, a power outage, and a cousin's wedding, and still hitting deadlines like clockwork. You ever wonder why jobs that used to be local are now permanently remote, and mysteriously across the world? It's because somewhere along the way, we forgot that remote work doesn't mean less work. It just means borderless accountability. And accountability has no time zone. Here's your gourmet insight in fast food packaging. Companies aren't loyal to locations. They're loyal to results. And if your best isn't better than someone else's half effort across the ocean, they're going to follow the signal, not your salary expectations. This isn't globalization. This is efficiency Darwinism. The strong don't survive, the useful do. Western workers got so used to being the default, we forgot what competition feels like. But now, that comfort bubble popped. And guess what? The global workforce was always waiting. Now they've got fiber internet and an Upwork profile. You're not special, you're searchable. And here's the part that tastes sweet and bitter at the same time. Filipino workers don't want your job, they just want the opportunity. And given one, they'll outperform, outlast, and outlearn you. Quietly. Relentlessly. They don't post about hustle. They just do it. They don't need perks. They are the perk. So next time you hear we're going global, don't nod, prepare. Because this isn't about countries anymore. It's about who's actually worth hiring. Let's have a brutally honest moment. If sleep is for the weak, then the Filipino workforce is out here redefining strength. Because while you're setting your Slack status to do not disturb after lunch, there's someone across the ocean, logged in, locked in, and laser-focused, managing financial ecosystems you don't even understand. You ever realize how your 8-hour workday ends exactly when theirs begins? Coincidence? Nope. It's by design. Global businesses didn't stumble into this, they engineered it. And here's the kicker, they're not just doing support roles anymore. They're not your backup team. They're running the machine. Filipino professionals are managing over 130 different financial assets, stocks, currencies, crypto, commodities, round the clock, no pause, no burnout TikToks, no coffee fuel therapy rants. Let that sink in. While you're rage quitting your trading app because Dogecoin dipped, there's a 27-year-old in Quezon City flipping currency pairs with up to 92% yield, and they're not bragging about it, they're reinvesting it. You ever wonder why companies suddenly started caring about 24/7 availability, right after you requested a 3-week mental reset? It's because business doesn't stop just because your calendar says it should. Markets move while you're asleep. Money flows when your alarm is off. And your replacement? They're not waiting for Monday. Here's your fast food burger with a gourmet stat. Global firms are now optimizing operations by aligning their night shifts with the Philippines' prime working hours. Translation? Your night off is someone else's morning hustle. And no, they don't need your LinkedIn tips. They're too busy learning algorithmic trading at 2 a.m. We like to say, time is money. But in this case, time zones are money. And guess who mastered them first? Not us. We treat late emails like personal attacks. They treat them like opportunities. And here's where it really stings. They didn't ask for our approval. They just saw the gaps and filled them. Quietly. Efficiently. Without demanding a company wellness retreat. It's not that they're more available, it's that they're more committed. They're not here to feel seen. They're here to deliver results you didn't even realize you were falling behind on. Most people treat ambition like a side dish. Filipinos made it the entree. You're nibbling around the edges of potential. They're going all in with no room for leftovers. And no, this isn't exploitation. It's evolution. The workforce is evolving. And guess who's leading? Not the ones demanding flex hours and foosball. The ones who see every hour as an asset, not an inconvenience. We're not tired, we're entitled. And that entitlement's being replaced by execution. By talent that doesn't expect a trophy for showing up. They expect to win. You ever notice how the best people don't talk about grinding? They're too busy grinding. Filipino professionals aren't romanticizing hustle culture. They're monetizing it. So the next time you wonder why your promotion's delayed or why that role you wanted was filled from outside the region, ask yourself, were you outplayed or just outawaked? Because the truth isn't that they're taking your spot. It's that they earned it, while you were still hitting snooze. Alright, buckle up. We're diving headfirst into the wild, messy, sometimes inspiring, sometimes depressing world of tech education in the Philippines. And I'm not here to coddle you with flowery speeches or kumbaya moments. Nope. This is the real talk you've been too polite, or maybe too scared, to say out loud. So here's the scene, you've noticed it too, right? That sudden explosion of coding boot camps, digital marketing classes, AI workshops popping up everywhere like mushrooms after the rain. Tech hubs sprawling in Manila, Cebu, and even in places you'd never expect, all promising to turn you from zero to Silicon Valley hero. Sounds like a dream, huh? Like finally, the Philippines is catching up with the rest of the world, riding the digital wave instead of wiping its feet on the shore. But let's pause for a moment. Before you grab your pom-poms and start cheering, ask yourself, how much of this really feels like progress, and how much feels like a shiny distraction from the mess beneath? Because here's the painful truth nobody wants to admit. These programs are booming, yes. But the reality is that the country's tech education is still mostly a band-aid on a gaping wound. The system is patchy, uneven, and sometimes feels like it's running on hope and caffeine rather than solid infrastructure. We're not talking about building skyscrapers here. We're barely done with the foundation. Let that sink in. We're not lagging because we don't want to learn tech. We're lagging because the ground beneath us keeps shifting. And before you flinch too hard, check this out. The Philippines is now one of the fastest growing hubs for tech talent in Southeast Asia. According to a recent study, over 70,000 new tech professionals enter the workforce every year. That's like adding a whole small city of coders, marketers, and AI specialists annually. Mind-blowing, right? You didn't see that coming. Because it's not just talk anymore, the numbers back it up. But here's where the metaphor kicks in. Imagine tech education like a baggage carousel at the airport. Everyone's dragging their carry-ons, their outdated curriculums, the spotty internet connections, the lack of hands-on experience, and they refuse to check any of it in. Instead, they pile it up, cram more into those bags, and expect to sprint off the plane like pros. Spoiler alert, you can't sprint with overloaded, unbalanced luggage. It's going to trip you, slow you down, maybe even faceplant you on your way out. Here's the kicker, we're not tired. No, that's too kind. We're numb. Numb to promises that tech education will fix everything. Numb to hearing about coding camps that charge a fortune but leave you clueless about real-world problems. Numb to the fact that even with all this digital noise, the gap between what's taught and what the global market actually demands is like comparing a tricycle to a Tesla. You ever wonder why the people who talk the loudest about hustle culture and grind till you drop are often the ones burning out the fastest? Yeah, me too. It's because they're stuck in this loop where more hours equals more progress. Except in tech, more hours without quality training is like pouring gasoline on a slow leak. You're just speeding up the inevitable breakdown. But here's the twist, not all hope is lost. Those tech hubs and digital education programs? They're the seedlings in a very rocky soil. Some of them are genuinely brilliant, connecting Filipino talent with global opportunities that didn't exist a decade ago. Some coders are already landing gigs at top international firms. Some marketers are creating campaigns that break the internet. AI researchers are quietly building projects that could change the game. But, and this is a big but, the system still demands brutal self-awareness. You can't just enroll and expect a magic wand. The truth is, tech education here still requires grit, hustle, and a thick skin to sift through the nonsense and grab the gold nuggets. So why does this matter to you? Because if you're thinking about diving into tech or already swimming in it, you've got to stop pretending the water is warm and safe. It's not. It's choppy, unpredictable, and sometimes downright freezing. But it's also the wave you need to ride if you want to escape the dead-end jobs and unstable futures that so many have resigned themselves to. Let me leave you with this. The Philippines tech scene isn't a finished product. It's a rough draft, a work in progress, a garage band still tuning its instruments. But those willing to endure the noise, the false starts, and the frustration? They might just be the ones who rewrite the whole damn song. So the next time someone tells you tech is the future like it's some polished catchphrase, ask them, which future? Because the one coming up isn't for the faint-hearted. It's for the bold, the stubborn, the ones who know the difference between a buzzword and a battle cry. And hey, if you're still reading this and feeling like this is your scene, good. Because in this digital revolution, honesty is the real currency. Not the fancy certificates, not the glossy ads, but the cold hard truth we all need to face before we level up. Now, what's your move? Alright, listen up. We're diving into a topic that everyone tiptoes around like it's a minefield: global visibility and data privacy in the Philippines tech scene. And no, I'm not here to sugarcoat or sing lullabies. I'm your brutally honest mirror, reflecting what you're already thinking but pretending not to notice. So let's get uncomfortable. You feel it, right? The Philippines is suddenly the shiny new kid on the global tech block. Startups sprouting like weeds, investors with dollar signs in their eyes, and everyone's hyped about how the country's tech game is finally getting noticed worldwide. You're proud, cautious, excited, and maybe just a little suspicious. Because with great visibility comes great responsibility, and a whole lot of headaches nobody's talking about. Here's the sting: data privacy is a dumpster fire nobody wants to clean up. Seriously. While we're busy celebrating our tech breakthroughs, we're forgetting that handling data is like juggling live grenades. One wrong move and kaboom, your reputation, your users' trust, your entire operation, gone up in smoke. But wait, before you clutch your chest in panic, here's a mindbender. The Philippines ranks among the top countries vulnerable to data breaches in Southeast Asia. Yep, our name pops up more often in cyber risk reports than we'd like. And guess what? Most of those breaches come from startups and small companies who treat data privacy like an afterthought, or worse, a vague maybe-later task. Think about it, you're at a party, and everyone's bragging about their shiny new apps and groundbreaking AI. Meanwhile, the conversation nobody's having is about how easy it is to swipe your info. That's like throwing a VIP gala with a revolving door for identity thieves. Glamorous? Sure. Safe? Absolutely not. Data privacy is like a bank vault. You don't just build the vault and hope the robbers are polite enough to stay outside. You put alarms, guards, and locks, layers of defense. But in our case, it's more like we're building sandcastles on the beach and expecting them to withstand a tsunami. Cute, ambitious, but naive. Here's the brutal contrast. We want global visibility, but we handle data like it's still a rumor we heard at the sorry store. We're not naive, we're reckless. That's a hard pill to swallow, but someone's gotta say it. Now let me drop a curiosity bomb on you. Have you ever wondered why some startups with flashy products disappear overnight? No, it's not just poor marketing or bad timing. Sometimes, it's because they got caught with their data pants down. Investors don't like that. They like clean books and safer bets. So why are we still seeing so many players gambling with their users' data like it's monopoly money? Here's a truth that'll sting a little. Our digital hustle culture glorifies speed and scale over security and ethics. We want to grow fast, get noticed, make money, but skip the boring, gritty work of protecting the data that actually fuels that growth. It's like building a skyscraper on quicksand and hoping the elevator won't break. But hey, don't think I'm just throwing shade. There are startups out there waking up, investing in better data handling, and actually taking privacy seriously. They're the smart ones, the ones who'll last past the hype cycle. They get that global visibility is a double-edged sword, great for opportunities, deadly if you get careless. So here's the takeaway for you, whether you're a founder, investor, or just an everyday tech enthusiast. If you want the Philippines to truly shine on the world stage, we need to quit pretending data privacy is a luxury or an afterthought. It's the backbone. The deal breaker. The secret sauce no one talks about at parties, but everyone pays for later. Because here's the kicker, the world's watching. Not just the fans, but the critics, the hackers, the regulators, and the wary investors ready to pull the plug if we mess this up. We're not just building apps, we're building reputations, fragile, priceless, and on the line every second data flows. And let me leave you with this. If we want to stop being the outsiders with potential, and start being the global leaders with credibility, we have to toughen up. Embrace the ugly side of tech, the security, the protocols, the tedious work no one wants to do, and own it. Because in the digital age, invisibility is a death sentence, but reckless visibility? That's a fast track to ruin. So what's the real question? Are we ready to protect what we've worked so hard to build, or are we just going to keep playing with fire, hoping we don't get burned? Think about that. And don't look away. Why does the Philippines have the loudest tech social media presence, but feels like it's still stuck in the slow lane? We all see it, right? Instagram's buzzing, YouTube's packed with videos hyping up our tech scene, and Facebook.com/the is pushing these initiatives like they're the second coming of the internet. Yet, somehow, the real progress feels about as fast as a snail stuck in traffic on EDSA. Look, I get it. You're scrolling, liking, commenting, feeling that spark of hope mixed with a pinch of yeah but. You want to believe, but the nagging feeling creeps in. Are these social media campaigns just a flashy mask, hiding how half of this is still smoke and mirrors? Here's the kicker. Filipinos spend on average 4 hours a day on social media, the highest in the world. That's like a full workday wasted double-tapping slick tech promos. Imagine if even half that time was spent building, coding, or innovating instead of just scrolling through stories of innovation. Social media is a neon sign flashing tech revolution ahead. But when you step inside, the kitchen's empty, the chefs are missing, and the menu reads coming soon. The truth? There's a massive gap between the look of progress and the actual grind behind it. You ever wonder why the flashiest tech campaigns disappear faster than last year's meme? Because social media presence is often just a shiny illusion, a digital fake it till you make it with no actual making. But here's the real pain point. This isn't just about tech. It's about us. Hustle culture glorifies the highlight reel, not the struggle. We'd rather broadcast the win than share the struggle. Vulnerability doesn't get likes, after all. Don't get me wrong, social media can amplify real change. But when it's just noise, it's a megaphone for empty promises. The challenge? Stop applauding the smoke, and start demanding the fire. Behind every viral post, someone's working their ass off. Behind every flashy campaign, there should be real results. Otherwise, it's just static, and no one wants to hear static forever. So next time you see that perfect post about Philippines tech boom, ask yourself, is this real progress, or just a digital show? Because the truth nobody's shouting loud enough is this: the future isn't built on likes, but on relentless, unseen work. Now, what are you going to do with that?